Evacuation.
Check, check. Check, check. Yeah.
On there.
Great. And
The other thing is your mic's probably sitting a bit high in your face.
What?
Just a bit. It's not bad, but nothing I can do for you. You don't mind.
not at all.
Pull it back a wee bit so it's out of your breath area. There. Just pulling it back. That's better. So
Okay. Check, check. It's good.
so we don't get breath pops.
Yeah, that's all okay.
That's all right.
Lovely. I'll put that on.
It's a mute. So,
Hello? Can you hear me? Yep. Sorry, it looks like you're all waiting for me tonight. Sorry, I'm a bit ramped. I don't know if anybody wants to sit down over there in the viewing area. Clearly not. Okay. Hope you've all had a good week so far and enjoyed the couple of sunny days that we've had. It was rather nice, a little sample of 20 degrees. Enjoyed that very much. Just a quick recap for the evacuation routes. I think they're still either side, out through the front door, toilets in the far corner, and can you please turn your phones on to silence, in case you haven't done it already. Ian wants to talk to us tonight before I get going, so I'll hand you over to our leader, who hasn't obeyed his own rules.
Thanks, Dawn. A couple of sort of bad news things I want to talk about tonight. Firstly, one of our C-grade members, Lynn Ferris, who's been a member for a little bit over 18 months, and a few of us would have met her from time to time. She unfortunately passed away about a month or so ago, just before it happened, before one of the meetings, so we haven't confirmed it and haven't been able to say anything about it. But it's worth mentioning and worth acknowledging. She had cancer and passed away very shortly after she was diagnosed, so it's pretty horrible news. And on the subject of horrible news, I want to acknowledge the horrendous events of Kaikoura. There are quite a few CPS members who are members of the Nature Photography Society as well, and so those people will directly know people involved in the event, although there'll be quite a few that don't. But I think it would be fair to say that we kind of fit in the same family of photographers. We can all relate to them and to what's happened to them, and to be aware of just how horrendous it was. They were doing something that they loved, and they were doing something that we have done and we will do again. So I think we need to kind of honour them by doing it again and going back and continuing to be involved in these things. And I'd just like to ask you all to join me for a moment's silence to reflect on that horrendous event. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Before I go into all the news, do we have any visitors here tonight? Any? Oh, lovely. Welcome to. Yes, and welcome. Oh, lovely. Nice to meet you. I hope you enjoy the evening. Did you go to the tutorial first? Yeah. Oh, and so you got frightened. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Well, we are. Once you get to know us, we're pretty cool. But welcome, and I hope you enjoy the evening. So those of you that did the tutorial, I hope you've managed to get enough information to put your images together for the set challenge. That closes on the 28th of September. So if you're entering, excuse me, a digital set, you probably need to get that in prior to that date. And I've got here, Ian, do you want to add anything? But he's already beaten me to it. So in regard to the spring workshops, probably everybody's received emails by now, hopefully giving you information into which class you've got into, the creative, the bird and the street photography. Is that correct? Anybody not had an email? Oh, okay. Yeah, talk to the chief afterwards, please. I'll put you down as that. And tonight, as you can see, I've brought the prints from print competition number 4. There was a delay in getting them back to us, and they've been sitting in my house for a week, so I just needed a space to pop them up. So please take them home if you're here tonight, but have a good look at them first. There's some pretty fabulous work there. What else? Oh, tonight, obviously, print competition 5 closes. There's a box at the front. Janine and I are taking over joint, for our sins, if we don't mess it up, joint print secretary. So we still really haven't learnt the ropes from Rach, but it'll be a bit of a learning curve. So hopefully you can give us a bit of encouragement there. I think it'll be an interesting process. Don't forget also to put your digital image in online for those that perhaps haven't done it, that ties up with your print prior to the competition. Thank you. Next week, the hall isn't available at 7, but 8 o'clock we'll have the critique for the natural history PI competition number 3. And excuse me, Wednesday the 5th of October is the new members and C grade set challenge presentation at 8 o'clock. What else have we got? Open projected 10 closes on the 5th of October. So we're sort of rapidly getting through the year, and the weeks are whizzing by. So need to get onto the top of that. And what else have I got here? Oh, that's all right. The projected image salon. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. There's a 12th of October for that one as well. And that, if I recall, is each member can enter 4 images that haven't been entered into competition so far. And they are scored live on the club night by a couple of judges, and who will give us maybe just a number and maybe some comments on what they think of the image. These images can then be entered formally next year using any of those tips that we get on the night. So don't be afraid, pop your images in, and that closes the 12th of October. And I think the other thing I've got here, MDC, closes on the 30th of the month, and that subject is Get Low. So I'm sorry, my voice is going again. So I think that's it, unless anybody's got anything they want to talk about before we get into tonight's program. Nope. Okay. What else are we doing tonight? I've forgotten that Heidi's doing the critique. Sorry. PI, sorry, I forgot that. The reading the critique, I apologise. Sorry, that was one thing I forgot to look at. Okay, settle back and enjoy. You're coming up. Sorry, JK, for some reason lost the plot again. It's on.
Yeah, tonight is PI 8 result. Yeah, John couldn't be here, so I'm doing it for him. The judge tonight is Kusla Mohed. Yeah, she's an artist and photographer living in Motueka. She has a diploma of art and creativity and diploma in digital photography. Her paintings mainly expressionist and abstract, while her photograph covers several genres. She believes that art is a way of connecting to people on a deep level without words, and it expresses how she feels about the world she lives in. Her photography covers a wide range of subjects, although she especially enjoys macro. Her images often printed and on aluminum to give them a luminosity. There are 51 images entered. There are 20 accepted, 7 high acceptance and honors, three honors and 1 best in show. So altogether there are 31 accepted. I now pass on to Heidi to do the critique.
Thank you. I have also got some words written for you from Kushla. So she writes, "Hi everyone. My name is Kushla Moorhead and I live in Motueka. I am an abstract artist and a photographer. I'm an accredited PSNZ judge. My photography covers most genres as I like the variety and the different challenges each genre possesses. I enjoyed seeing your images and the variety of them. Congratulations to all of you, as it takes courage to put yourself and the images out there for someone else to comment on. It also is a great place to learn, so well done. I strongly recommend getting an editing program if you don't already have one. There are several free ones for both computers and phones, and doing some basic editing can make a big difference to an image. Tweaking the contrast for a start, so do try it. Simple editing can be quite quick too. If you shoot in JPEG, you already allowed the camera to process it for you, and how much better to do it yourself. As usual, the comments are, my opinion, only as photography. Like art, is all very subjective. Good luck with your continuing journey in photography. Thank you for asking me to participate in the judging." So I'm just going to read out the critique for the images. And Kushla, if you're listening, I hope I'm going to do you a service. Right. Okay. Overlooking Lake Linden, School 1. I can feel the coldness of this scene. It makes me want to wrap up warm. The lighter area of snow on the mountain on the left balances well with the tree in the foreground. I feel that a more defined focal area would have strengthened this composition. There's a slither of white at the bottom left and also on the right-hand side towards the bottom. I'm wondering if it's from cropping. Always look around the frame as well as the main part. The image shows a lot of detail in the snow, which I like. A winter morning, Score 1. My eye rests on the weeping tree. Because of the colors, I don't get the feel that this is winter, and maybe more bare trees would have told the story better. The light on the bushes in the background keeps my eye going back there, yet there isn't enough interest in those trees to hold me there. Curiosity, School 1. The light pulls me into this image. This image has an eerie feel to it. I find the flowers are really interesting, especially the way the stamens are lit, which in my view almost looks like a glow in the dark. I feel the light itself is too bright and a distraction, as the light on the flowers is where the interest lies. The light shining through the petals show the veining. It is worth trying this again. Bored performer, score 1. A tricky balancing act. I feel the man is rather cramped in the corner and needs more room in front of him. I understand that the board in the background was probably part of it, yet I feel changing the angle would have made a better image. Quite tricky with the white parts and the black, and the white has been well handled. By the doorstep, score 1. I like the idea of this subject. I am wondering which part of it you would like the viewers to look at. Cropping from the left side to the edge of the doorway would eliminate most of the steps in the doorway, which is just a black area, which I get pulled to because of the steps. Sorry, I'm reading fast because there was no commas, and sometimes I try not to. I try to read what she's written. I'll take a breath next time. So going back, cropping from the left side to the edge of the doorway would eliminate most of the steps. And the doorway, which is just a black area, which I get pulled to because of the steps. I don't know if that was any better. I get led up to it and past the interesting things. There is a lot of white area too, and maybe shifting the angle the image was taken from would have helped. The old boot scraper and the milk bottles tell of a different age, and I enjoy seeing them. Seagull's Nemesis, score 1. I like the simplicity of the shot with the 3 parts, the post and the 2 gulls with a plain sky. I feel the black and white has worked well and taken away any distraction of colours, such as a blue sky. The birds in flight aren't sharp, and I feel a better shutter speed would have helped. The movement in the wings tells the story, yet the rest needs to be sharp. The white on the birds on the post is lacking in detail. Great story, give it another try if you can to get the birds to cooperate. Autumn Flurry, score 1. I feel this was a good idea, yet it has ended as 2 separate images, really. One is blurred and one that isn't. It is also cut in half by the black branch. I feel that maybe the whole image blurred would have told the story, as I really like the blurred leaves. The other leaves are dark and don't show detail. Church at midday. I like the way the symbol at the top of the spire is outlined by the blue sky. The rest of the image is rather busy, and the power lines across it are a distraction. The church is almost hidden by the trees, which is a pity, as I would like to see more of its architecture. Bad Hair Day, score 1. The trees growing like this show me how hard the wind blows here. The fence draws me into the image and then right past the trees and out again. Maybe some change in the lighting on the fence would help my eye to stay in the image. The background, because its warm colour tends to be quite dominant, which brings it forward visually and takes it over from the trees. Even a vignette would keep the focus more to the trees. West Coast River, Score 1. The balance of colours in this image work well with the warmer colours in the front and then darkening and cooler green at the back, which in my eyes is a good progression. The rocks in the foreground act as anchors to the image. For me, it lacks a real story or focal point. It is a lovely sharp image though. Feather, Score 1. There is certainly innovative thinking here. It took me a while to realize exactly how it was positioned, and I feel it is a clever idea. I find my eyes going back and forward between the white, definite lines and the soft, fluffy swirl of the feather. The light around the bottom or underneath the feather looks a bit odd to me, and I feel that the whole lacks some coercion. An interesting subject, though. Castle Hill, Score 1. The rocks at Castle Hill are very interesting. Before shooting, I feel the author needs to choose what story to tell about these rocks. The expanse of them here is interesting, and there is good detail on the closest ones. My eye tends to roam as there's nowhere to rest and too much to take in. Choosing less is more often. Okay, it's more often, that's full stop there, sorry, I don't know why. Early morning, Score 1. It feels lovely and peaceful by the water. The sunrise looks overexposed to me with that yellow. There is also some noise in this image as well. I like the way the jetty leads into the water. I would have liked to see more of a focal point. New Plymouth Whalebone Bridge. The bridge is very interesting. The black and white has certainly made the bridge stand out as the main subject. I realize it is a dull day, but the darks are very dark, and some of the detail has been lost in the shadows. Kuru feeding on Tikoke berries. Apologies for my pronunciation. I went quiet. Sorry. Cabbage tree. Thanks, Alistair. Beautiful colours on this Kuru, which have been well caught. The head and beak are sharp, and even though the sharpness tails off on the body. The part that matters is sharp. I feel a subtle vignette may have strengthened this image as the lighter areas, top right and right, tends to pull my eye. Scarborough Lights, Score 2. This is a bit different and very interesting take. I find my eye wandering around and there is no place to rest. I like the different colours. I feel it lacks some cohesion, an area to pull the idea together. I like the differing ways the circles interact with the colour and density. Power Pipes, Score 2. I have mixed feelings about this image. I like the juxtaposition of the two main elements, the pipes and the pylons. Yet for me, the pipes are very heavy while the pylons are lighter looking, so I feel the image is unbalanced. The white bands, because they are in several places, I find distracting. If there were only 3 in the middle, it would be more cohesive, I feel. Interesting subject. Flat Out, Score 2. Lots of action shown by the dust and dirt, as well as by the riders leaning over, which sets the scene. I find the ads at the back quite distracting with all the white and then the black letters, especially the one in the middle. Using lighting to direct the attention where the action is would change the focus, maybe with some vignetting or just some burning. I love the way that one boot is showing on both bikes and the effort is apparent in the front bike with the rider so close to the ground. The story is clear. Hokitika Manana. Mania, excuse my pronunciation. I love the punami carving, the manana. Please feel free to help me out with the manaya, thank you, and the way the light shines on it. I'm not sure why there are two, as this gives a ping pong effect. The usual practice is to have odd numbers as they create a feeling of balance. If the two were closer or touching, two could work. The green against the blue, while not complementary colours, work well together. It is a lovely, sharp image. Swash, score 2. The shutter speed has been used well, in my opinion, so the water is still flowing, but the spray is shown in detail. The biggest area spray leads me out of the image. Some may be maybe some vignetting would have held my eye in the image. There is good separation between the busy water in the foreground and the background. Pattern of tree reflections with ICM, score 3. I like the use of ICM, which has given a peaceful feeling to this image, in my opinion. I feel that more contrast or some variation in light and dark would have made a stronger image, as I feel it is a bit flat. I like the colours and the fact the blue-purple colour is darker at the lower edge. Sugarloaf Rendition. This is an unusual rendition of this area, which I actually find interesting. Sugarloaf is the focus. I feel that some cropping in from both sides would have made more emphasis on that area. I like the repetition of the layers on the hills and how the ridges are outlines. There is a grittiness to this image that I enjoy. Stark structure in serene nature. That one little bit of pylon holds the power in this image and is the making of it. The lighting both in the foreground and background leads me into the pylon. The clouds above frame it, as do the hills. The texture of the water adds some detail to the scene, well balanced. The framing finishes it well. An arch within an arch, score 3. I like the detail in the rocks of the foreground arch, which frames the rest of the image. For the rest of the image, I find my eyes bypassing the other arch to the pink sky, which is lighter. Maybe lightening the other arch or darkening some areas would bring it more to my attention and make it more of a focal point. On the march, score 3. I love the way the movement has been caught with the shag's foot in the air, really giving it that marching feeling. I like all the detail in the feathers and the sharpness of the bird. The background is well separated from the bird by depth of field used. Ropes of Maui approaching godly head. These ropes of Maui always attract my attention, as do these ones. I feel the panorama enables the viewer to see the full extent of this phenomenon. They show some hope as the rest of the image is forbidding looking. Nature's Palette, Banks Peninsula. Love the title. The detail is well shown in the texture and the strata of these lovely volcanic rocks. I find that the lighter rocks in the background keep drawing my eye as well as the red rock in the foreground, so it creates that ping-pong effect. I like the way the colours have been emphasised and the clarity in the rocks. Cliffs through Dancy's Pass, score 3. The side lighting makes this image and shows the buttress of the cliffs and the folds of the land in the background. The colours complement each other too. I find my eye tends to go to the patch at the end of the main cliff where it is lighter, and then across to the gap to the edge as it is lighter too. It would have been better, in my view, if the lighter part was on the more interesting area of the cliffs. That is not always possible. I like how there is light along the rim of the cliffs, which gives a sharp line to separate them from the land behind. High wire work, score 3. I like the graphic quality of this image, and the fluffy white clouds are a foil for it. I feel there could be some cropping from the right, as less cloud would be a better balance in my view, and then a bit from the bottom if you have enough pixels. Then the man would be in a better position and the attention would be on him more. Abutilon. The bright yellow of the stamens stand out in the pink, which attracts my eye. I find the blurred green in the flower, because of the light colour, a bit of a distraction as it stops the flow of sight. It is very difficult to have an image like this sharp right through. I feel a vignette would bring the focus into the stamens too. Lovely veining showing on the petals. Bursting out, score 3. My first impressions are of a cohesive image, both in the colouring and the composition. The stem of the magnolia leads me to the bud. The detail on the outer shell is well shown with the hair. Unfortunately, the petal at the back lacks in detail, and as it is overexposed. The rest shows detail on the textures, and I especially like the light shining through the through the piece of the outer shell at the bottom. One man in his rickshaw, score 3. Putting an image like this into black and white, I feel, eliminates the colour distractions, so that all the focus is concentrated on the image. Here I feel his white shirt tends to draw the eye because it is lighter than his face and his eyes are in shadow. If the eyes and face were more easily seen and held my attention, it would be a stronger image in my view. Snowfall, score 3. I love the lead line of the fence to the group of trees. The road does the same from the right. To me, the trees are interesting, and I would have liked to see them the main focus and not the white cloud to the left of them. I realize it is tricky lighting, but I feel it could be done in post-production so that the trees are the meeting place and the focus. I like the moodiness of it all. Score 3, a little sunlight. a moody shot which draws me into the mountains. I like the patch of light on the mountains and feel it could have been emphasized with more editing. The ruggedness of the mountains and the moodiness tells a story of the mountains and the unpredictable nature of them and the weather. The young ones, score 3. Great photojournalist image. I particularly like the faces of the girls in front. I feel cropping down slightly from the top would make these girls and their notices even more prominent. The cropping would eliminate the lighter areas and designs at the back, which tend to draw my eye. The story is in the front row. Sunrise, score 3. I love the way the rays of light show and separate the different headlands. The silhouette of trees on the furthest away one adds interest to the story. Some of the clouds by where the sun is are blown out. I know it is very hard not to have blown out cloud like this. In this case, they keep drawing my eye away from the interesting headlines and up to that part of the sky. The ripple on the water creates texture in the foreground to complete the image. A well-balanced, cohesive image. The Mackenzie Basin near Tekapo, score 3. I like the way the light falls on the hill on the right and has interesting shadow on it as well, which creates a point of interest for me. The other hills, being shadow, fade more into the background, which I feel adds to the composition. I suggest cropping off the clouds from the top would eliminate clouds that aren't really adding anything to the story, and this would bring the hill above halfway, thus making a more cohesive composition. Winter Reflections, score 3. This panorama gives me a peaceful feeling with the calmness of the water and the sun on the hills. The way the water goes between the two ranges of hills draws me through the image and to the hill in the background. Maybe lifting the contrast would, I feel, give more definition. The reflections add interest to the image, well balanced and cohesive in my opinion. Zen, score 3. I like the simplicity of this image. It conveys a calm feeling to me. Excuse me. The negative space has just enough variation in tones to add to the image. There is a balance to it that feels right. High jump, score 3. Great action shot. Wow, how do riders do this? Desaturating the clouds a tad would, I feel, make this a stronger image, as so much of the bike and the rider are in the shadow, and the blue is so bright, it pulls my attention to it. I like the angle that this has been taken on. Emerging from the clouds, score 4. The patch of sunlight on the mountain draws my eye into the image. As it is on the third, it creates a feeling of balance for me and leads me on a journey right through the rest of the scene. The clouds hiding the area make it mysterious, and I'm wondering what's behind them. It creates the story of the conditions in the mountains and the ever-changing light. Finding worms. The delight on the child's face is beautiful and well caught. I feel the hand and worm could have been sharper, maybe with a better depth of field. Having said that, because it isn't sharp, my eye goes straight to the eyes, which are the main part, cloning out the white bit top right would have tidied up the image in my view. I like that the child fills the image, so there is very little background showing. Out of the blue. My eyes hold me in this image, and they are the focal point. The eyes hold me. I feel she's looking into me. The image is sharp, showing a lot of detail in the face and the headgear. The background, I think, would be better if there was more separation between it and the model. The white of the pattern tends to intrude into the image. Great image. Sled dog racing, the puddle. Score 4. What fun. The use of a fast shutter speed has caught the action well to show the details of the water, the dog and the rider. I like the juxtaposition of the relatively still reflection against all the spray and action. I suggest cropping from the bottom so that bit of red isn't distracting. Great action shot. Study of a pair, score 4. I like the texture in the background and on the stand. The pair is well balanced in the image and feels balanced. I find the handle of the spoon distracting because it feels like it pulls me away from the pair. I think because it goes upward on that diagonal. The lighting on the pair shows the pair to perfection. First over, score 4. I love the way this shot has been taken in so close and caught the action. The main figure is sharp and the others slightly soft, which takes them into the background and leaves the woman jumping in clear focus. The use of depth of field and the fast shutter speed has produced an image that tells the story. Spring Delight, score 4. A very well shot, sharp image of these flowers. I feel that the use of more contrast in the lighting might make the florets stand out even more, as I feel there is very little variation from the shaded area and the lighter area. The white background gives it a feeling of a botanical specimen. The eye, score 5. The colour and texture are an immediate hit in my eyes. It takes me on a journey to the centre. The light and shade bring out different tones in the green. An interesting and intriguing image. I want to know more. At Home in Havana, score 5. The black and white suits this image. The woman's eyes and the anguish in her face is compelling and pulls me into the image. I'd like to know more of her story. This image is very gritty, which conveys to me the reality of her life. Heron on finals. Beautifully sharp image of this heron landing. The fast shutter speed has caught all the detailing in the feathers. Sometimes it tells me the story better to have a slight blur on the wings to show it's moving. The bit of foreground anchors the image and the ripples on the water show the heron to advantage. Lake Benmore. Score 6. Right up there. I think this is a beautiful, serene image. There are lots of interesting details all through the image and so much to see. What for me lifts it from just another scene is the boat, and not just an ordinary boat, so it piques my interest even further. great work honours. That'd be best in show too. Sorry, thank you. So I'll hand you back to JK, who's going to hand out the certificates with Diana. Diana here today? Yep, lovely.
Is that working? Yeah. There you go.
Thank you, Heidi. Diana, where's Diana? Oh, sorry. Pattern of Three by Judy Kurt. Sugarloaf Rendition by Nicola Jackson. Stuck Structure in Serene Nature by Alicia Hidden. An Arch Within an Arch by Jenny. On the March by Peter Curtis. Ropes of Maui Approaching Godlyhead by John Hawkins. He's not here. Nature's Palette by Kelly Habiter. Yeah. Cliff Through Denser Pass by John Thornton. High Wire Work by Nola Summers. Abby Dillon by Sue Newport. Busting Out by Adrian Gentleman. One Man and His Rickshaw by Alistair Phillip. Snowfall by Nielsen Bunstead. A Little Sunlight by Cornelia Schultz. The Young Ones by Newell Glenfield. Sunrise by Lucy Ferguson. The Mackenzie Basin by Bonnie Streetcamp. Is it winter? Winter Reflection by Tara Coaster. Then by Penelope McCall. High Jump by Anne Nguyen. Emerging from the Clouds by Irene Ferguson. Finding Worms by Jonathan Brown. Out of the Blue by Sue Combs. High Acceptance. Sled Dog Racing by Tash Harris. High Acceptance. Study of a Peer by Diane Kelsey. High Acceptance. First Over by Les Amon. Spring Delight by Don Kurt. The Eye by Jane Bott. Taste the honors. Yeah, Taste the Honors.
No, it's a food.
At Home in Havana by Robin Carter. No image? Just go ahead. Heron on the Finals by Ellen Moore. Lake Benmore by Fitzoff Morrison, Honors and Best in Show. Okay, thank you, Diana, and that concludes the result of PI 8.
Okay, wow. Beautiful image. Does anybody would like to talk about their images? Fritzoff, seeing as you got the honours tonight, got the bit of ribbon. If you'd just like to just talk us through the image.
Yeah, so the people who were at the Lloyd Thomas Winter Salon would probably recognize the location because most of us were there. So yeah, I did a little bit editing. So yeah, obviously some vignetting, and I practiced one technique I didn't do before. So basically, I put it into SilverFX Pro and created a black and white layer and made it more gritty, and then put it on top in Photoshop as a layer and only put it to luminosity. So it will not affect the color, but more the structure. So that was more a practice thing for me, and I thought it came out quite well. And the border was also part of the SilverFX Pro. So yeah, what is not shown here is I removed some distractions. There was a car beside the boat, and I removed that one. Hopefully you can't see it. Yep. Yeah, the reflections were a little bit tricky to remove as well. Yeah. So yeah, it took a while to get to that result. Yep.
I've not heard of that technique with the luminosity black and white, but I'm going to go home and Google that. It really gives it an extra depth and richness, I think. So beautiful, well done. Jan, the green blob, come and explain. No, can you come over and, sorry, no, you have to. Sorry, I insist. We all want to know. I'm not sure how your mind works and swirls bizarrely. Yeah. There you go.
This was actually a fern frond, and I was playing around with filters, and I managed to get it so that it's actually got an eye right in the centre, and the colours they're all, I haven't fiddled with the colours, but it doesn't really show the true colours on the screen. They're a bit more deep and shiny. So so I just go into filters, in Photoshop, filters, distort, twirl, and I just played around with it until I got a shape that I really liked, and it worked really well. Thank you. I wish it was.
Beautiful, well done. I really like it. I can see that up on the wall in the foyer somewhere. Alan, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, this was a bit of a scramble. Oh, crikey, there's a heron flying, and I got the camera up and got that one shot. All the rest were not sharp. It's a thousandth of a second, f9. I think it's 200 to 600 with the teleconverter on it, 1.4 times, 2000 ISO. So it's been denoised and topaz and quite possibly sharpened as well. And it turned out quite well. Yeah.
Beautiful. Who else do we have? Anybody else like to? Nope. Alistair? No. Nope. No, nobody. Okay, well done. That's great. Thank you. Fabulous images yet again. And I think the critique from Kushla, although I don't know her, was really useful and well balanced. So, has anybody got anything they want to add tonight? No hands going up. Do we have supper tonight? Yes, John, thank you. So if anybody wants to drink, it's through those doors, and it'll be through there for a little while if you want to chat. The images, of course, we'll put the lights on. You can have a quick look before people start taking them home. So all that remains really is to thank everybody for helping tonight. Dennis for opening and closing, Alan on projection, Dennis and Ian on meet and greet, the boys at the back, and I think we have Wayne and Andrew tonight. Thank you. Yes, the hand's gone up. Yes, thank you. And thank you all for coming. Have a safe drive home. See you next week. Remember, 8 o'clock next week.